kept walking. The more orthodox they are. Now they do have what is called a non-suicide pact involved in all of this. And what that means, a lot of them say that jokingly, what that means is if somebody drops dead of a heart attack on the Sabbath, you're allowed to work on them. I mean, if they have a heart attack, you're allowed to work on them to try to save them. If the enemies are attacking, you're allowed to get in a tank and fight them off on the Sabbath. You don't all just sit around and die because it's the Sabbath. This is particularly good for Jewish pilots who cross international date lines, because they might be flying on a Friday and suddenly be on a Saturday. And what are they going to do? Go, well, Sabbath. So they're allowed to do certain things on the Sabbath. But that's why I said a lot of your more very Orthodox Jews would have lit the Shamash candle on Friday before sundown, before the Sabbath. Then what you do is the Shamash is supposed to be the only candle that is used to light the others. So starting today, you take the Shamash and light at sundown the first candle on the menorah. And then for 8 days, you light each of the others. So the Shamash acts as servant because it's helping to light the other candles. It also has a job of acting as guardian. The menorah is considered holy. You're not supposed to use the menorah for anything other than consecrating Hanukkah and the 8 days of Hanukkah. That's the only purpose behind it. So if the power goes out, you're not supposed to read by the light of the menorah. But here's a technical loophole. You gotta love a religion that has technical loopholes.
They all do.
The Shamash is not technically part of the menorah. Only the 8 candles, 4 to either side, are part of the menorah. The Shamash, the guardian, in this case, it's the servant when it's being used to light the others. It's the guardian. If you happen to stop and look and read something by the light, nobody will know. It's impossible to know which light is being cast on the book. A menorah light or a Shamash light. You can't know. So the Shamash has now guarded you from committing sin. You got to know that one came up back when candles and oils were expensive, and you may not have had many in the house, and the few you had in the house had to be used for the menorah. And what are you supposed to do if you accidentally read by it? You got to know somebody was sitting around going, wait a minute, the middle one, the Shamash. I've got a thought here. So that's basically Hanukkah. And I did hear somebody, by the way, the other day saying that Hanukkah is gaining more and more relevance and importance in this day and age, especially as people say that gasoline prices may go up to $5 a gallon here soon, praying that one day's gas can stretch for 8 days. A lot more people are going to be praying the menorah. And that's the shame of it, because the idea behind the menorah is God's miracles in life. That's what you're supposed to be thinking about. There is a whole ritualized ceremony involved in the lighting of the menorah. There are certain prayers you're supposed to say during it. Many families will you have a special meal eaten right after the menorah is lit, and it's supposed to consist of certain kinds of foods, which I can't remember at the top of my head, but there are certain foods you're supposed to eat at that time, and then usually they'll add a whole bunch of other stuff, so the 8 days often can become almost feast-like every single day. Some people have the tradition that that's only on the first day. Other people have it as a tradition it's only on the last day. whatever. The idea of gift giving during it, and it's supposed to be small practical gifts that somebody needs. You know, like really warm socks on a day like today. Doesn't seem exciting, but they're supposed to be practical things that you absolutely need. And again, the idea is to celebrate God's blessings. These are things we need, and God has provided us the ability to have what we need. That's what we celebrate. We needed the oil, God provided the ability. I need warm socks on a really cold day, God provided the ability. I prefer humor to warmth, so of course my socks say,
Oh,
naughty or nice, but for the camera.
hit 'em.
But that's the whole idea, is at least once a year, you're supposed to, for 8 days, thank God for all that you have in your life. And so far, I mean, a lot of Jewish families, you're reform-minded and whatnot, not so, the ones that aren't extreme Orthodox or anything, you know, a lot of them will put up Christmas trees anymore and have presents on Christmas Eve and things like that, just because it's fun. It only makes sense because, you know, this actually has nothing to do with Christianity, the Christmas tree. I mean, really, think about it. He was born in a desert. How many pine forests do you think there were in the middle of that desert? I mean, that's a Northern European tradition celebrating the Nordic gods, Odin and all of them, Thor, and all of their mythology. But even in that, it was seen as something sacred. It was the universe sitting there. The lights are the stars, the orbs are the planets. On the top is the home of the gods, and somewhere in the middle is us. Taken to its mystical side, it is us. Its lowest branches were supposedly hung with bulbs of materialism. The upper branches is God. It represents us in that we grow from a materialistic view to God. That's our spiritual growth. Nothing to do with Christianity. Presents under the tree. Well, people say, well, the 3 Magi brought presents. That's how that tradition got started. People were handing out presents thousands of years before any of that came. Just tradition. We do it this way, by the way, and it's a long story, so I won't get into all of it this year. We put presents under the tree to distract the serpent. There's supposed to be a serpent coiled around the tree in mythology, in the Nordic mythology of the Vikings and whatnot. The serpent is eating at the roots of the tree. Every day he eats through another root. The tree itself is trying very hard to grow new roots. And it's a kind of constant battle. Which will win? The serpent or the tree? So we help out. Because we're wonderful people like that. We put presents under the tree. And the serpent goes, what's that? Be the brighter light. And for that one day, because there's something to distract it, the serpent doesn't eat one of the roots. And the tree can catch up. And it saves the tree for another year. So that's why we stick presents under the tree. You know what? Your family's Christmas this year, we really should wrap a serpent around it. I only say this because Elaine really, really is afraid of snakes.
You don't want her moving fast right now.
No, that's true. Unless she hit me with a metal walker. A trip to the hospital just ruins the Christmas spirit.